Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge of the UES Harmony, watching the holographic display as it tracked the approaching Vraxian vessels. Their ships resembled crystalline arrowheads, beautiful yet threatening, their surfaces refracting the light of distant stars. This was humanity's first contact with an advanced civilization, and it wasn't going as the diplomatic handbooks had predicted. "They're maintaining combat formation, Captain," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across the sensor console. "Energy readings suggest their weapons are powered but not actively targeting." Sarah nodded, maintaining her composed demeanor despite the tension building in her chest. The Harmony wasn't a warship, it was a diplomatic vessel, designed to showcase the best of human achievement. Its halls contained art galleries, concert spaces, and cultural exhibits. The ship's very architecture spoke of humanity's aspirations for peaceful connection among the stars. "Open a channel," she commanded, straightening her dress uniform. "All frequencies, all languages." The communication officer, Dr. Emily Watson, initiated the first contact protocols they had rehearsed countless times. The message began broadcasting in every known human language, accompanied by mathematical sequences and universal constants, humanity's way of extending a hand in friendship across the cosmic divide. The response came almost immediately, in perfect English. The holographic display shimmered, revealing a towering figure with iridescent scales and eyes that seemed to contain galaxies. "I am High Commander Zextal of the Vraxian Dominion. Your species has entered space claimed by our empire. Prepare to demonstrate your worth or face elimination." Sarah felt her crew tense around her, but years of diplomatic training guided her response. "High Commander, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the United Earth Council. We come seeking friendship and exchange of knowledge. Our vessel carries the artistic and cultural achievements of humanity. We would be honored to share them with you." A sound emerged from the hologram that might have been laughter, but held no warmth. "Art? Culture? We measure civilizations by their strength, their ability to defend what is theirs. Your approach suggests weakness." Sarah smiled, genuinely this time. "With respect, High Commander, might I suggest that strength takes many forms? Our ship contains a symphonic hall. Would you allow us to demonstrate?" The Vraxian's expression shifted subtly. Confusion, perhaps. "You face potential annihilation, and you offer music. Music that has inspired millions, High Commander. Music that has accompanied humanity through our greatest challenges and achievements. Before you decide our worth, let us show you who we are." There was a long pause, during which Sarah maintained steady eye contact with the alien commander. Finally, Zextal spoke. "You have one planetary rotation to prepare your demonstration. If it fails to impress, we will take more direct action." As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to her crew. "Dr. Watson, contact Earth. We need the Sydney Symphony Orchestra's latest quantum transmission performance of Dvorak's New World Symphony. Lieutenant Rodriguez, prepare the holographic concert hall. If we're going to demonstrate humanity's worth, let's show them everything we can be." The next 24 hours aboard the Harmony transformed the ship into a celebration of human achievement. While the crew maintained their vigilance, they also prepared exhibitions of Earth's greatest artistic and scientific accomplishments. Sarah knew they were taking a risk, but something in the High Commander's reaction had given her hope. The Vraxians understood strength. They just needed to be shown that strength wasn't only measured in firepower. As she reviewed the final preparations, Sarah received a message from Earth Command. "Additional vessels approaching your position. Military intervention standing by." She sent a simple reply. "Give us a chance to make friends first." Sometimes the strongest choice is choosing not to demonstrate strength at all. The stars continued their eternal dance outside the Harmony's windows as humanity prepared for its most important performance, one that might determine the course of interstellar relations for centuries to come. Dr. Maya Patel stood at the window of Research Station Horizon, her breath fogging the reinforced glass as she watched the aurora dance across Europa's ice fields. The research station, built to study potential microbial life in Europa's subsurface oceans, had become her home over the past 3 years. Now, it might become something else entirely. Another Vraxian scout ship passed by. Her colleague Dr. James Cooper announced, looking up from the atmospheric monitoring station. "That's the third one today." Maya nodded, her mind already racing through contingencies. The station's 32 researchers had been watching the situation unfold ever since the first contact at UES Harmony. While Captain Chen attempted diplomatic solutions, research stations across the solar system had received encrypted instructions. "Prepare for non-standard operations. They're probably not impressed by our little ice lab," James said, attempting humor. "No weapons, no defenses, just a bunch of scientists studying bacteria." Maya turned from the window, a slight smile crossing her face. "That's where they're wrong. Everything is a tool if you know how to use it." She walked to the central laboratory, where she'd been reconfiguring their equipment for the past week. "Our atmospheric processors. They can generate targeted electromagnetic pulses. Those sample preservation chambers, perfect for creating specialized smoke screens." The station's intercom crackled to life. Multiple vessels approaching on attack vectors. All personnel to emergency stations. Maya's fingers flew across her console, initiating the protocols she'd hoped wouldn't be necessary. "James, start the pressure redistribution sequence. Dr. Yang, activate the sonic mapping array. Full spectrum." Through the windows, they watched as crystalline ships descended through Europa's thin atmosphere. Their intent was clear: a precision strike to demonstrate Vraxian power without causing catastrophic damage. What they didn't expect was a research station that had transformed itself into something entirely different. The first Vraxian shot, meant to disable their communications array, met an invisible wall of refracted energy, scattered by precisely calibrated atmospheric distortions. Their second attempt encountered a cloud of modified research particles that adhered to their ship's sensors, creating a biological equivalent of chaff. "They're trying to land troops," Dr. Yang reported from her station. "Northern platform." Maya nodded, feeling oddly calm. "Initiate sonic defense pattern Alpha. Let's show them what our geological survey equipment can really do." The Vraxian boarding party encountered something unprecedented: precisely modulated sound waves that interfered with their neural patterns, created by equipment normally used to map Europa's subsurface caves. Their advanced combat suits, designed to withstand conventional weapons, proved surprisingly vulnerable to the improvised sonic attack. In the chaos that followed, the station's researchers demonstrated that scientific ingenuity could be more effective than military might. Botanical research pods released rapidly growing, cold-resistant algae that obscured visibility. Microbiological containment fields were repurposed into temporary force barriers. Even the station's maintenance robots, reprogrammed on the fly, played their part in the defense. The Vraxian commander's voice boomed through their communication system. "This is impossible. You are scientists, not warriors." "Exactly," Maya responded, her voice steady. "We're scientists. We solve problems. That's what humans do best." She gestured to her team to activate their final defense, a demonstration of controlled ice fracturing that showed exactly what their research tools could do to a larger ice sheet or to ships landed upon it. The Vraxian vessels retreated, but Maya knew this was just the beginning. As she watched them disappear into Europa's star-filled sky, she sent a simple message to Earth Command. "Research Station Horizon reporting. First contact protocols failed. Defensive capabilities demonstrated. Request permission to share our improvisational tactics with other research stations." The response came quickly. "Permission granted. Teach them what human scientists can do." Maya looked at her team, seeing not fear but determination in their eyes. They had transformed their peaceful research station into an innovative defense platform without firing a single conventional shot. As she began compiling their defensive innovations for distribution, Maya couldn't help but wonder. If this was what a single research station could do, What would happen when humanity truly began to demonstrate its capabilities? The massive screens in Orbital Manufacturing Plant 7 displayed real-time production data as Lisa Martinez walked through the facility's central control room. Just 3 weeks ago, this station had been producing luxury space yachts for wealthy tourists. Now, it was something else entirely. Production Line Alpha has completed its first conversion. Her AI assistant, AI, reported through her neural interface. Efficiency ratings are 47% above projected estimates. Lisa smiled, watching as robotic arms gracefully transformed what would have been a pleasure cruiser's observation deck into a reinforced command center. How are the children's designs integrating into the new systems? A holographic display materialized, showing projects submitted through the Global Youth Innovation Network. After the Vraxian encounters, Earth's children had been encouraged to share their ideas. The results had stunned everyone. A 12-year-old from Singapore had designed a shield system based on soap bubbles. A teenage gaming club in Brazil had developed evasive maneuvers inspired by their favorite space simulation games. The butterfly defense pattern suggested by young innovator Sarah Williams has increased ship survival rates in simulations by 82%. Araya reported. Her inspiration from monarch butterfly migration patterns proved remarkably effective against Braxian targeting systems. Lisa watched as another yacht chassis entered the production line. Its sleek hull would remain beautiful. Humans saw no reason to sacrifice aesthetics, but beneath the surface, it would house technologies that had never existed before the Vraxian arrival. Each ship represented a fusion of human creativity, from professional engineers to schoolchildren's dreams. Director Martinez, a voice called. Lisa turned to see Dr. Chen from the Quantum Computing Division approaching. You need to see this. The Entertainment Division's converted servers are producing unexpected results. In the Quantum Processing Center, thousands of gaming servers, once used for virtual reality entertainment, now ran combat simulations. But they weren't just running scenarios. They were creating art. The AI started incorporating player behavior patterns from historical gaming data, Dr. Chen explained, gesturing to the swirling tactical displays. Look at these formations. They're not just effective. They're beautiful. Lisa watched as simulated ships moved in patterns that seemed to dance. Years of human players' creative problem-solving in games have been distilled into something entirely new. The formations flowed like water, adapted like living things, and struck with the precision of a master fencer. Send these to the training division, Lisa ordered, and get me a connection to the virtual reality integration team. The VR lab had transformed their entertainment centers into training facilities. Millions of civilians were now spending their free time in simulations, unknowingly helping to refine tactics and strategies. They thought they were playing games. In reality, they were teaching humanity's defense systems how humans think. Director, ARI interrupted. Incoming transmission from Braxian Observation Post. They're requesting a production output report. Lisa straightened her jacket. Show them everything. Every production line. Every facility tour. Let them see exactly what we're building. The Vraxian observer's crystalline face appeared on the main screen. Your facilities appear to still be producing civilian vessels, it noted with something like disdain. Every human vessel is civilian until necessity demands otherwise, Lisa replied calmly. Would you like to see our efficiency ratings? She authorized a data transfer, watching the Vraxian's expression shift as it processed the information. The production statistics told a story. Humanity wasn't just converting ships. They were reimagining space travel itself. Impossible, the observer stated. These adaptation rates violate known industrial principles. Lisa thought of the children's designs, the gamers' strategies, and the dancing ship formations. Perhaps, she suggested, you're measuring by the wrong principles. We're not just building ships, we're dreaming them into reality. As the transmission ended, Lisa received an alert. The first converted ship was ready for launch. Its name, suggested by a 6-year-old artist from Kenya, was painted in elegant letters across its hull. Peaceful dreams. Looking at it, Lisa understood why the Vraxians were confused. They expected a species to choose between beauty and strength. Humanity had simply refused to make that choice. Admiral Kai Chen watched the holographic battle space materialize around him. The bridge of the UES Artemis hummed with quiet efficiency as his crew prepared for humanity's first coordinated response to Vraxian aggression. His ship, like all in the newly formed defense fleet, had been a civilian vessel just months ago. Now it was something unique in the galaxy, a reflection of humanity's unprecedented approach to space combat. Vraxian battle group detected, Lieutenant Park announced from the sensor station. 5 capital ships, standard arrow formation. Kai nodded, remembering his sister Sarah's first contact with the Vraxians aboard the Harmony. Begin Operation Stardance. Signal the fleet to initiate Mozart Protocol. Across the star system, converted cruise ships, research vessels, and space stations began moving in patterns that would have made choreographers proud. The Vraxian commanders watched in confusion as human vessels seemed to throw standard combat doctrine to the solar winds. "Sir, they're broadcasting," Communications Officer Paddle reported. "The Vraxian commander is laughing." The alien's voice filled the bridge. "You approach battle as if it were a performance. Your ships move like dancers. This is not a theater stage, humans." Kai smiled. "That's where you're wrong. Lieutenant Park, initiate secondary protocols. Let's show them why we studied ballet in space combat training." The first Vraxian volley met empty space as human ships pirouetted away in perfect synchronization. The movements, based on classical ballet positions modified for zero gravity, proved unnaturally difficult to track with standard targeting systems. Each evasive pattern flowed naturally into attack positions that hadn't existed before humans started treating space combat like performance art. "Deploy the resonance spheres," Kai ordered. Thousands of small devices, originally designed as zero-gravity musical instruments, spread through the battle space. They began emitting complex harmonies, music that doubled as a sophisticated sensor jamming network. The Vraxian ship's crystalline architecture, while beautiful, proved unexpectedly vulnerable to specific frequencies. "They're adapting," Park reported. "Switching to energy weapons." "Perfect. Begin the light show." This was the moment Kai had been waiting for. The converted entertainment systems on every human ship activated simultaneously, turning the battlefield into a dazzling display of holographic art. But hidden within the seemingly decorative light patterns were targeting disruptions and visual countermeasures developed by theater lighting designers. "Sir," Paddle interrupted, "you need to hear this. We're picking up transmissions between Vraxian ships. Their crews, they're watching us. Some are recording the battle patterns." On the tactical display, Kai watched as a Vraxian destroyer attempted to mirror one of the human ship's movements. The attempt was clumsy but spoke volumes about the impact of humanity's approach. "Their main fleet is withdrawing," Park announced. "But sir, they're not fleeing." The pattern suggests appreciation. The Vraxian commander's voice returned, this time without mockery. "Never in 10,000 cycles of combat have we witnessed battle conducted as art. Your ships do not just fight. They perform. Your tactics are not mere strategy. They are expression. We request, would you share the performance data from this encounter?" Kai thought of the generations of human artists, dancers, and musicians whose work had been adapted into this new form of combat. "We would be honored to exchange cultural information. Perhaps we could start with an explanation of classical Earth ballet." As the tension of imminent combat faded, Kai realized humanity had achieved something unprecedented. They hadn't just survived their first major space battle, they had turned it into a cultural exchange opportunity. "Send word to Earth Command," he instructed Paddle. "Tell them Operation Stardance was successful, but not in the way we expected. And add a request. We're going to need more dance instructors for our combat training programs." The stars twinkled around them like an audience after a magnificent performance. And in a way, that's exactly what it had been. The Global Innovation Center in Singapore hummed with activity as Dr. Aisha Rahman studied the holographic displays surrounding her workspace. Representatives from 50 different cultures had gathered in this converted art center, each bringing unique perspectives to humanity's greatest collaborative project. The origami shield arrays are ready for testing, announced Hikari Tanaka, her Japanese colleague, manipulating a hologram of intricately folding energy barriers. We've incorporated the geometric principles from traditional paper folding into the shield harmonics. Aisha nodded, watching as the simulation demonstrated how the shields would unfold and adapt like paper art brought to life. Beautiful. How does it integrate with the Indonesian gamelan wave patterns? Another scientist, Dr. Satya Widodo, pulled up his acoustic defense system. The gamelan-inspired electromagnetic pulses create a perfect counterpoint to the folding shields. Like a musical composition, each part strengthens the others. The center had become a fusion of art and science, where cultural traditions thousands of years old were finding new purpose in space technology. African drum rhythms became the basis for unbreakable encryption codes. Chinese calligraphy inspired new forms of neural interface design. Indigenous Australian songlines were transformed into stellar navigation systems. Incoming transmission from the Vraxian observation fleet, announced the center's eye. A holographic window opened, showing the now familiar crystalline features of their alien observers. "We have been monitoring your facility," the Vraxian stated. "Our sensors detect no weapons research, yet Earth Command lists this as a critical defense installation. Explain." Aisha smiled, gesturing to the displays around her. "We're not creating weapons. We're sharing stories. Would you like to see?" She authorized a data feed, allowing the Vraxians to observe as a group of Maasai engineers demonstrated how their traditional jumping dances had inspired a revolutionary propulsion system. Nearby, a team of Tibetan scientists explained how meditation techniques had led to breakthroughs in crew coordination during high-stress situations. "These are not military innovations," the Vraxian observer noted, confusion evident in their multifaceted eyes. "No," Aisha agreed. "They're human innovations. Each culture on Earth has spent thousands of years developing unique ways of seeing the universe. Now we're sharing them all, learning from each other, creating something new." She guided the observer's attention to where a Greek architect and a Moroccan mathematician were collaborating on a defense system inspired by both Pythagorean harmonics and Islamic geometric patterns. The resulting technology was unlike anything ever seen in the galaxy. "Your species fragments itself into different cultures, yet claims this makes you stronger," the Vraxian said. "Our civilization achieved unity millennia ago." Dr. Rahman's next display showed Earth at night, a glowing network of cities and connections. "We are united, not in uniformity, but in harmony. Like this view of our planet, we shine brightest where different lights meet." The Vraxian observer spent several moments processing this. "Your innovations, they all seem to have an artistic component. Even your most practical technologies contain elements of beauty." "Of course," Aisha replied. "That's what makes them human. We don't separate the practical from the beautiful. Every culture on Earth has proven that the most enduring innovations speak to both mind and heart." As the transmission ended, she turned to her colleagues. A Brazilian capoeira master was teaching Scottish engineers how fluid motion could improve spacesuit design. A Canadian Inuit elder shared ice reading techniques that were revolutionizing planetary scanning technology. Dr. Rahman called out young Wei-Chen, rushing over with excitement. "The Aboriginal Dreamtime Mapping System. We've successfully integrated it with the Navodo star navigation principles. The results, you need to see this." Aisha followed him to a new simulation chamber, watching as two ancient ways of understanding space and time merged into something revolutionary. This was humanity's true strength, not the ability to fight, but the wisdom to learn from every voice, every tradition, every perspective. The Vraxians had sought to test Earth's military might. Instead, they were witnessing the power of human diversity in action, a force more creative and adaptable than any weapon could ever be. Junior researcher Zixeth stood before the Vraxian High Council, her crystalline form shimmering with nervous energy. The chamber's towering spires of purple crystal usually inspired awe, but today they felt oppressive. She had spent 3 cycles studying human behavior, and her findings would challenge everything the Dominion believed about strength. "Proceed with your report," High Commander Zextal ordered, his voice resonating through the crystal chamber. Zixeth activated her holoprojector, filling the chamber with images of human achievements. "Honored Council, our initial assessment of humanity was fundamentally flawed. We interpreted their preference for peace as weakness, their diversity as division, their artistic pursuits as frivolity. I present evidence that we were wrong." The first projection showed the converted research station on Europa. When threatened, these scientists didn't abandon their principles. They adapted them. Their defense systems emerged from their pursuit of knowledge, not from martial tradition. She shifted the display to footage from the space battle, where human ships danced through the void. Their combat patterns aren't just effective, they're meaningful. Each movement tells a story. Look at this formation, based on something they call Swan Lake. It's simultaneously a defensive pattern and a narrative about transformation. An elder council member leaned forward. "You speak of battle tactics as if they were art performances." "Because to humans, they are both," Zixeth explained. "Every human innovation serves multiple purposes. Their shield technologies protect while creating beauty. Their communication systems share information through music. Even their children's games are teaching their defense AI systems new strategies." She displayed footage from the Global Innovation Center. This facility contains no weapons, yet it has produced more tactical innovations than our military research divisions have in a century. They don't separate beauty from function, art from science, tradition from progress. Everything connects. High Commander Zextal's crystalline features shifted. "You were tasked with finding their weaknesses. Instead, you bring us poetry." "That's exactly my point," Zixeth responded, her voice growing stronger. "We've been looking for weaknesses that don't exist. Their apparent softness is flexibility. Their seeming chaos is adaptation. Their art is power." She played an intercept from a human cultural broadcast. Children singing while they worked on spacecraft designs. They sing, Honored Council. They sing while developing technologies that match or exceed our own. Their joy and creativity aren't distractions from their strength. They are their strength. The chamber fell silent as she displayed her final evidence, a time-lapse showing how human innovations spread and evolved. Ideas flowed between cultures, each adaptation spawning new possibilities. It was beautiful, organic, and terrifyingly efficient. "They don't think like us," Zixeth concluded. "We build to assert power. They build to express wonder. We seek to dominate space. They seek to dance with it. And most importantly," she paused, knowing her next words could change everything, "they're not afraid of us. Not because they're powerful, but because they see beauty even in our aggression. They look at our crystalline ships and see art. They study our battle formations and find poetry." An elder's voice cut through the silence. "You believe we should fear them. No, honored elder. I believe we should learn from them. Every attempt we've made to demonstrate our superiority has only revealed new aspects of their capability. They're not just meeting our challenges, they're transforming them into opportunities for creation." High Commander Zextal stood, his massive form casting geometric shadows. "Then what do you suggest, junior researcher?" Zixeth straightened, her crystalline form catching the light. "Send me to Earth, not as an observer, but as a student. Let me learn their music, their art, their dance, because I believe I've discovered something profound. We wanted to test their strength in war, but their greatest power lies in peace." The council chamber hummed with resonant energy as her words hung in the air, And for the first time in Vraxian history, the High Council considered the possibility that they had fundamentally misunderstood the nature of power itself. The transmission room aboard the UES Harmony had been transformed. Where military advisors once stood monitoring defense readiness, now sat musicians from 6 continents. Captain Sarah Chen watched as they tuned their instruments, preparing for humanity's most ambitious performance. Project Bridge is ready to launch, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his hands dancing across the upgraded communications array. We're connected to every Vraxian frequency they've ever used to contact us. Sarah nodded, remembering their first encounter in this very room. Begin the transmission. Let's show them everything we are. The concert began with a single note from a Chinese guqin, its subtle vibration carrying across space. It was joined by an Australian didgeridoo, its ancient voice harmonizing unexpectedly with the string instrument. Then came the West African kora, Indian sitar, Hungarian cymbalum, and dozens more, each instrument adding its voice to a melody that had never existed before. But this was more than music. Hidden within the harmonies were mathematical equations describing Earth's scientific principles. The rhythm patterns encoded humanity's historical archives. Even the gaps between notes carried meaning. Blueprints for cultural exchange centers, designs for collaborative research projects, invitations for artistic partnerships. We're getting responses, Rodriguez announced, his voice filled with wonder. Vraxian ships, they're releasing harmonics of their own. Their crystal hulls are resonating with our music. Across Vraxian space, something extraordinary was happening. Young Vraxians, their crystalline forms shimmering with excitement, began replicating human art forms. Crystal sculptures appeared in traditional Vraxian halls, inspired by Earth's diverse architectural styles. Security footage showed Vraxian scientists attempting human dance movements during their research breaks. Message from junior researcher Zixeth, Rodriguez reported. She's sending artwork. The display filled with images created by Vraxian children. They had taken their species' traditional crystal formations and arranged them in patterns inspired by human cultural designs. Mandalas made of living crystal, geometric patterns that echoed Islamic art, fractal structures that merged Vraxian crystalline growth with African textile patterns. Their youth are fascinated by human creative expression, Zixeth's message explained. They're not just copying our forms, they're creating something new, a fusion of our crystalline nature with your artistic vision. Sarah watched as more responses poured in. Vraxian scientists requested access to human music theory. Their engineers wanted to understand how Earth's cultures had influenced technological design. Military commanders asked permission to study human dance, not for combat analysis, but for its own sake. Captain, a new voice interrupted. Dr. Emily Watson, who had helped craft their first contact message, rushed into the transmission room. You need to see this. The Vraxian capital ship, its entire crystal structure is reconfiguring. On the main display, they watched as the massive vessel transformed. Its aggressive arrowhead design softened, crystals flowing into new patterns that resembled a blooming flower. Other Vraxian ships began to follow, their crews inspired to express themselves through their ship's living crystal. They're not just appreciating our culture, Sarah realized. They're rediscovering their own capacity for creativity. The Vraxian High Command's response came in an unprecedented form. A crystal sculpture that generated both music and light, accompanied by a message. We sought to test your species through conflict. You have tested us by awakening possibilities we had forgotten existed within ourselves. As Project Bridge continued broadcasting Earth's cultural wealth across space, Sarah received reports of similar transformations throughout Vraxian society. Their warrior culture wasn't being erased, it was evolving, finding new ways to express strength through creation rather than conquest. Send a message to Earth Command, Sarah instructed. Project Bridge is achieving success beyond our highest expectations. The Vraxians haven't just accepted our cultural exchange, they're experiencing a renaissance of their own. In the transmission room, the musicians continued playing, their melody now accompanied by the harmonic resonance of transformed Vraxian ships. It was a duet between species, a song of change that would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. The Grand Hall of Unity, newly constructed in Earth's neutral orbit, sparkled like a jewel against the cosmic backdrop. Its architecture was unprecedented, a harmonious fusion of human design and Vraxian crystal engineering. The structure itself was a symbol of what both species had achieved together, each panel and curve telling the story of their journey from confrontation to collaboration. Lisa Martinez stood at the observation deck, accompanied by junior researcher Zixeth, who had become Earth's first Vraxian cultural ambassador. Below them, the Interstellar Cultural Festival was in full swing, celebrating one Earth year since the transformation of their relationship. Did you ever imagine this outcome when you were reconfiguring those yacht production lines? Zixeth asked, her crystalline form refracting the light of distant stars. Lisa smiled, watching as a group of Vraxian youth performed a traditional Earth ballet, their crystalline bodies adding an ethereal quality to the ancient art form. We were preparing for conflict, but hoping for something like this. Though I don't think anyone predicted your people would take to interpretive dance quite so enthusiastically. In another section of the hall, human children gathered around a Vraxian crystal singer, learning how to resonate with the living crystals that were now being used for everything from musical instruments to environmental systems. The art form, once reserved for Vraxian nobility, had been freely shared as part of their cultural exchange. Captain Chen, Admiral Chen, and Dr. Raman have arrived, announced the hall's AI system, its voice a harmony of human and Vraxian tones. Sarah and Kai Chen entered alongside Dr. Aisha Raman, followed by members of the Vraxian High Council. The siblings who had faced the first contact and first conflict now stood as architects of peace. Dr. Raman, whose work at the Global Innovation Center had helped bridge their civilizations, carried a special crystal, a joint project that would change both societies forever. High Commander Zextal approached the group, his once rigid military bearing now softened by appreciation for human arts. Are we prepared to activate the Harmony Network? Dr. Raman nodded, placing the crystal in a central pedestal. Every human city and Vraxian crystal hub is connected. Once activated, this network will allow real-time cultural exchange across our civilizations. The crystal began to glow, interfacing with similar nodes across Earth and Vraxian space. Immediately, the hall filled with holographic displays showing celebrations in cities across both worlds. Human musicians played alongside Vraxian crystal singers. Earth children shared artwork with Vraxian youth. Scientists from both species demonstrated new technologies that merged their different approaches to understanding the universe. From this day forward, Zextal announced to the gathered crowd, the Vraxian Dominion will be known as the Vraxian Cultural Cooperative. Our strength will be measured not in military might, but in our ability to create, to share, and to grow together. Sarah Chen stepped forward, and the United Earth Council announces the establishment of the Interstellar Arts Academy, where both species will learn from each other's traditions and create new forms of expression together. As if to demonstrate this future, a young human girl approached a Vraxian child. Without words, they began to dance, the human teaching Earth movements, while the Vraxian demonstrated crystal resonance. Their impromptu performance captured the attention of everyone in the hall, a living symbol of their civilization's new relationship. They pushed for war, Lisa whispered to Zixeth, and humanity reluctantly complied. But not with weapons. You fought us with beauty, Zixeth responded, defeated us with creativity, and then helped us rediscover parts of ourselves we had forgotten existed. Above them, Earth and the Vraxian homeworld were both visible through the crystal dome, their lights twinkling like stars. Between them, the Grand Hall of Unity sparkled, a testament to what was possible when different species chose to share their strengths rather than test them against each other. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly what both species had hoped for.